picture this side.
Experts only, experts only. That's awesome. Okay, I hesitated before writing this review, wondering whether or not I should tell what I thought was the truth about this trail. And I didn't realize what the real truth was about this trail until I started reviewing the GoPro video and then realized some things that I'd forgotten. So first I was going to say, you know, this isn't really an expert trail, but then I watched the GoPro video. And it is, and I'll show you why. See, Darrington is getting pretty chewed up these days. And when I rode Darrington at the end of July, Skyliner was so blown out that you could argue Skyliner is no longer a blue trail. It's a black trail. It was always a dark blue anyway, but now it's black. With that said, I wasn't sure if I should say anything that would risk attracting more traffic to some of the less overused trails in this system. But Showcase Showdown, I thought that Showcase Showdown wasn't as scary as the expert rating would suggest until I, again, had a chance to review this video. And yeah, it's an expert trail, but you do want to you want to find out why. And there are very good reasons to avoid bringing your intermediate friends on. Oh, definitely not your intermediate or beginner friends. Don't do that. So I already didn't ride this first feature when I came in. Showcase Showdown is like you go up the same road that you would go from the top of Skyliner. You ride the road over to up the same direction past that gate that you would go to get over to Out of the Blue. But this one peels off to the left a lot sooner. So what's cool about this trail, there's a black diamond level ride around. So there are ride arounds for all the big features, but those are like not expert, but they're definitely advanced level ride arounds. The neat thing though about those ride arounds is that they provide the showcase part of the showdown. You see, you can bring your more cautious but skilled friends along for the ride if you want to ride the big features so that they can watch you do the showcase part on those bigger features. And you know you'll be getting watched by somebody who at least can handle a bike well enough to ride everything else on this trail, which means it's somebody that's at least can appreciate what you're doing. Or you can do the showdown part and see if you can talk them into being less cautious. And I stayed cautious. But anyway, what I've discovered about this is that this is basically black diamond transfers between expert level features with black diamond ride arounds. But the fact that you'll stop at a lot of features to watch your less cautious friends ride them can easily distract you. It distracted me from the fact that even without the huge features, this is actually a really fun trail. And this is a really challenging trail just by itself without the big showcase features. If Squamish style rock rolls are your thing, this is definitely your trail. There are rock rolls in abundance here, especially here at the top. Most of the big features, in fact, are rock rolls. Now, my excuse for not riding a lot of the rock rolls on this, especially here at the top, was that, well, I'm a drummer in a rock band. True story. And we had 2 shows a couple weeks after I was riding this, and it's really hard to play the drums with a broken collarbone. That was my excuse. I remembered that because I was watching the GoPro video and heard myself saying that, using that excuse. I actually had to call in a sub and miss a show once for a big band that I was playing in because of a broken collarbone. That was a traumatic experience, and I won't let that happen again. Okay, days like this are some of my favorite types of days to spend in the woods. Just talking through features, evaluation, riding some of them and watching others ride the features that I won't ride, but like finding lines, looking over where the lines should be. This is just fun stuff. Just talking this stuff through with people and just being in the woods in the summertime, doing this, just doing mountain biking. I love days like this. My friend Terry said this trail reminds him of Follow the Leader over at Sandy Ridge, and I'd have to say I absolutely agree. In the same way that like Follow the Leader over at Sandy Ridge is in the best condition out of all the trails there because everyone's afraid to ride it. And so is this one. Everyone's afraid to ride it because it's an expert level trail, which keeps it in nice shape. It just doesn't see as many wheels as Skyliner or Out of the Blue do. While we were riding this, we all agreed that this is not really we agreed. Like, this is the funny part. We went through this progression as we were heading down the trail. And I can hear it on the GoPro video while we're talking to each other. So, we all agreed, oh, this isn't an expert trail. But then, like, I'm watching this GoPro video and I think, Oh man, we were high on our own supply. This is definitely an expert line. I could even tell from the GoPro stuff before it sunk in for us, sunk in for us, that this was expert. So somehow the fact that all the transfers are blacks and double blacks got totally lost on me because I was so distracted by the much bigger features that I was too afraid to ride the ones that I wouldn't do. So I kind of lost track of the fact that I was already riding really hard stuff. I was also distracted by how much more fun this was than Skyline or Out of the Blue were this day in the middle of the summer, the summer 2024. It just so happens that by the middle of the summer 2024, Darrington had gotten pretty dry and blown out. The trail coasts down the road. It crosses the road here and it coasts down the road for a little bit before you pick it back up on the right here. I think it's like an eighth of a mile or something. And it feels like you're going to think that you might have lost the trail, but you didn't. I'm really noticing on this video, after this gravel road, this is where I really started noticing how much more expert this trail is. And I know that because I can hear the way I'm talking to myself on the GoPro. And I was obviously in, when you're in too good of a mood, like you're having too much fun to trust your evaluation of anything, especially when it comes to a level of caution. So I was in a really, really good mood. I was in a great mood. Like I can hear I was in such a good mood on watching the GoPro video that I'm in a good mood now because of the mood that I was in months ago when I recorded this. Anyway, this section out of the road, after the road, was awesome. I loved it. It was so cool. It's a fun little frolic, but hard stuff. And then you get this roll down here that I wouldn't consider riding this without scoping it out first. Really though, if you like double blacks, you'll like this trail. It's not as raw as Out of the Blue, but it also holds up a lot better in part because of that. I was really apprehensive about riding this trail, but I did not end up regretting this at all. I just really love what the trail builders came up with through here. There were some features I couldn't ride just because they were obscured by vegetation, but hey, it happens. This is also the part of the ride where I was starting to suspect that the guy behind me, because there was a guy, friend Chris was behind me the whole time. And I know he's a better rider than me. Like he did not need to be behind me. And this is where I started to suspect that he was just using me to keep his ambition in check. This happens to me a lot. I'm actually a pretty cautious person, believe it or not. And I'll occasionally observe more adventurous people will put themselves behind me. And I think it's a form of vicarious risk aversion. That's my theory about that. Hypothesis. I don't know if it's like quite developed enough to be a theory, but definitely a hypothesis. Speaking of risk aversion, this sign was hilarious. Experts only both ways. Well, for what it's worth, I went to the left and I was just fine. In fact, I had a great time. The crazy part is that it takes a long time before this joins back up with the other line, I think. I wasn't sure, like we lost sight of Chris. Chris went down the other line, Terry and I went down this line. In any case, I think the sign was just meant to be kind of a joke because this was pretty standard double black diamond stuff, I think. I actually suck at rating trail difficulty, and so do you. What you think is easy will be impossible for someone else. And the other thing that happens is that as you continue to ride, you improve incrementally. So your increasing skill level sort of creeps up on you as you ride more and more often. And that causes you to completely lose perspective regarding the crazy difficulty of whatever it is you're riding. I would have had to walk this stuff 10 years ago. That's the thing. I have to go back in time and realize 10 years ago, when I was a younger and fitter man, I still would have had to walk this stuff because I didn't have the skill for it. Gosh, this section was fun. Just looking at the GoPros reminded me how much fun this was. It was at the bottom of this train of features that we all decided we agreed with the expert rating. We're like, all right, there was a lot of bike handling and brake modulation. This is an expert level trail. They weren't wrong. But that illustrates the difficulty with properly rating a trail because you have to get really introspective about what you're doing while also thinking about other people. And thinking about other people is hard. I'm my own favorite person. So thinking about what another person would experience at the same thing is, have to think about somebody. In any case, a lot of the trail down here is do or die. Like you've got to hit these features. So they're not as big as and impressive as the ones at the top, but you gotta do them. You have to ride them. There's no walk-arounds. There's no avoiding them. There's no safety line. There aren't acceptable or actionable ride-arounds for a lot of this, like there was at the top. I also really enjoyed just the variety on this whole trail from top to bottom. It doesn't stale. It's like I didn't realize that either till I was looking at the GoPro. It's like, wow, this trail goes through a lot of different kinds of forest. And I think that was one of the reasons I was having so much fun. It was literally impossible to get bored on this trail. This one was the winner. Everything else this particular weekend was super blown out, but this trail made the whole weekend. I did not regret it, and neither did Terry, and neither did Chris, but it is an expert line. Definitely keep that in mind. I'd like to take this moment to thank all my Patreon supporters, especially my longest lasting one and only Low Me Goodness level sponsor at this time, Charles Kim. I'd also like to thank my Hero Dirt level sponsors, Bryce Ulrich, Devin Young, and Edward Lanton. If you'd like to join all these people who have supported me over the years, and thank you, all of you. I've had so many of these members who've come through all the years, like over the years, and they come and they go. Thanks for sticking with me, even through the content drought that I've put you all through for the last year or two. Anyway, navigate over to patreon.com/voiceovertrails and sign up to support this erudite, well thought of content, showing you the way to great trails in the Pacific Northwest and beyond. Now, get out there and go ride your bike.